Hello everyone. As you can see by the title of the video, I wasted my 20s. And I want to just go into more detail as to what I mean by that, the mistakes I made, the lessons I've learned, how I'm moving forward, and most importantly, how you guys and girls out there who watch this video won't end up making the same mistake that I made. And as you can see, this is a brand new account. I don't want my friends and family to know who this is or who I am, because I'm ashamed to even make videos like this. But here we go anyway. And uh, when I was in my early 20s, just like a lot of people, right? You have crazy ambitions, but a very low work ethic. And all of my friends, they did the smart thing. They locked in on their goals. They went to college or went into a career. They put their heads down and they grinded. They did the things that they were, I guess you could say, supposed to do. And before you know it, you blink and you end up in those situations that you could have sworn you would never end up in. Everyone else is getting married. They're making decent money. They're about to purchase houses and essentially achieving their goals and dreams while you were the one left behind. And I remember watching videos just like this when I was in my early 20s. And I remember thinking to myself, man, oh man, that's crazy. I'll never end up making a mistake like that. I'll definitely lock in. And it's those little moments, those little decisions that you make in between those moments that matter the most. But I'll get into that a little bit later on in the video. You see, when you are young, you think you have so much time, and you hear a lot of conflicting information from different people. You'll hear some successful people say that you have so much time and that you don't have to worry about it, and you need to enjoy your youth because you only get to live once. You hear this ever since you were a child, right? How many of our parents said the things like, enjoy your childhood now. Don't worry about working hard, or don't worry about studying things. Don't worry about learning high income skills. Don't worry about money, whatever it may be. Enjoy your childhood now, because these are memories that you're never going to get back, or moments you'll never get back. These are memories you'll look back on, right? And you'll hear this advice even in your early 20s, your 20s, 30s, and so on, from people who say, go out and do the things that, are fun to you, and then worry about the stuff later. And I want to completely dissect that, because in my opinion, I think that's the most damaging advice that we give, because we don't have time. Number one, first and foremost, is that, not to sound like a Debbie Downer or anything, but we never know when we'll take our last breath. As people with plenty more of experience and age compared to me have seen and witnessed in their own lives, things happen randomly. The good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. You never know when you're going to get that scary call or that knock on that door to deliver that bad news. You never know when something's going to happen to anyone, yourself included. So to think that you have time, in my eyes, is foolish. On top of that, when you think that you have time, you delay things. You push things back. You truly and genuinely believe that, not that, number one, you're going to be alive forever, and number two, that you'll be able to get this done at a moment's notice. You'll be able to just achieve success extremely quickly. And even though you should be mature enough to understand that that's not the way it works at all, especially when you hear successful people say that it took them years or decades and they had to give everything that they had times 10 to achieve it. When you hear that other conflicting advice, you see social media ads talk about how easy it is to get into insert high income skill here. You'll change your life in the next 6 months. All you have to do is lock in for 6 months and you'll be good. I used to be just like you. I used to be $100 billion in debt, and now I'm $100 million trillion in my bank account, all in 2 months, by just getting invested into this course you have to pay me for, And you hear these things and you think to yourself, okay, I've got time. And I forgot what it's called. I think it's the Dunning-Kruger effect or something like that. I'm not so sure. But it says that you'll always stretch out an objective or task to the amount of time that you think you have in that thing or on that thing. This is why college kids will sit here and have an entire month or 2 months to do a project. And it will not be until the final 48 hours do they all of a sudden snap back to reality and realize how screwed they are. And somehow, some way, miraculously, even though this project should have taken a week minimum, minimum, they somehow get it done in those 48 hours. And I want everyone who watches this video to start thinking that you don't have time and that you need to become successful, whatever that may mean to you now. That you need to become successful when it comes to money, relationships, health, happiness, whatever it may be now. And you need to start working on those things now. Going back to the point that I talked about at the very beginning of the video, I've started reading this book recently, and for those who might be reading or into reading books might know him, his name is MJ DeMarco. He's the author of a book that went viral several years ago called The Millionaire Fastlane, and he came out with a new book called Choose Hard, Live Easy. And he talks about in the book how everything is polarity, and that more often than not, it's the opposite thing that you do, or it's the thing that you do that gets you the opposite over the results that you want. So when you choose easy, you're actually choosing hard long term. And when you choose hard, you're choosing easy long term. And he gave you a perfect analogy. He says, think about working out. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I watched a video, I'll never forget, when I was in my early 20s of Usain Bolt. You know, for those who don't know him, he is, or was I don't know if he holds the current title, but the fastest man in the world, right? Even people who are not into Olympic sports know who he is. It was on that day, it was a weekend, a Saturday. He was being recorded stretching before he started to run on some kind of random high school track. 100-something degrees outside. The humidity was making it feel like 115. And the interviewer asked him, they said, do you enjoy what it is you're doing? You know, are you happy doing this? You're smiling. And he said, no, not at all. And it kind of took the camera crew back a bit. He was just like, no, if I'm being honest with you, I always keep the goal in mind. And knowing that I'm going to achieve the goal will bring me happiness. But the day-to-day moments don't bring me happiness because they're not easy. He said, if I could be honest with you, I'd much rather sit here and be waking up like everybody else around this time with my family. I'd much rather be scrolling on my phone or watching some random movie or getting caught up on things I want. I'd rather be gaming or doing anything else right now. My brain is telling me, even as I'm stretching right now in this heat, to go get something to drink and just go lay down and rest because I deserve it. But I know and understand that that does not align with the goals that I want to achieve. And if I were to do that, I would get the results of the 99%. And that's not what I want. He said, very rarely is it that I get up and think to myself, I can't wait to run today. I can't wait to get up and go exercise. And many people don't. And when he said that, I thought to myself, he's not lying. I exercise on a regularly, and y'all, I'd be lying to you if I said I enjoyed any of it. I could probably count on one hand the amount of times out of all of these years that I've been working out ever since I was 12 or 13, the amount of times that I was so excited or eager to go work out. And that was just the novelty of certain moments. Those moments were most likely when I was starting a brand new workout for the first time, or I was adjusting something in my workout. I was bringing in something new. The feeling of novelty is when you feel that happiness. And the long-term benefits of doing those things, though, far outweigh the negative feeling in the moment. And that's what he talks about in the book. He talks about how you can either choose easy in the short term and then suffer in the long term, or choose hard in the short term and it might sting for a little bit, but the long lasting effects of you choosing hard every day will give you the life that everybody claims that they want to live, but few people get to live. And every day when I get up to work out, y'all, every day without fail for these past decade and a half, there's not a day that goes by that I don't sit there, take a huge inhale and exhale, look up at the roof and think to myself, man, I might just skip today's workout. Man, I might just I might just call it. I might just say no. I might just, I can always work out tomorrow. I've been putting in enough work. And every day I ignore that and I get up and I get dressed and I take my pre-workout and I do the workout anyway. And even in the workout, while I'm still doing it 30, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever, I think to myself, my brain is thinking, why are you doing this? This sucks. This does not feel good at all. You're doing this every single day, day in and day out. Why? For what reason? But at the end of the workout, that is the good dopamine that you get. At the end of the workout, before I hop in the shower, when I look in the mirror and I see the progress day after day of years of effort, it reminds me of why I'm doing it. When I wake up with energy, when I wake up with confidence, when I put a shirt on or put pants on and I see the weight that I'm losing, when I don't have aches and pains anymore simply from existing, when doing something so simple like walking up steps doesn't take my breath away, I realize I am so happy that I've stuck to these things that I don't like doing in the moment. And that takes me back to the book. He says that everybody knows that quote, right? Carpe diem, I believe it is. Everyone knows Carpe diem. You see it on posts, you see it written on walls, you see it plastered on people's iPhone wallpapers. And it means, I think it's Greek, it means conquer the day. But he said he wants to get rid of that notion completely. He wants you to replace Carpe diem with Carpe momentum, meaning seize the moment. Because if you cannot seize the moment in your life, then you can't possibly seize the day. He even gave an example. He said that his stepson or something like that in the book, he said his stepson wanted to become the president of the United States one day and take down the multi-trillion-dollar corruption that we have in the world, take down all the bad people and make the world we live in a better place. And he laughed and looked at his stepson and said, that's some crazy goals and you can definitely achieve anything you set your mind to, but how can you do that if you can't even clean your room without getting upset and quitting halfway through? And he said his stepson just put his head down and walked away, and he just busted out laughing and said, you have a lot of work to do. And it's so true, y'all. It's so true. Carpe momentum. You need to conquer those day-to-day moments because those moments are what make your day. And you don't think that those decisions or choices matter because they're so small in the moment, but they compound. You don't think that, okay, choosing a pizza tonight over some salad, that doesn't matter. It's just one day. Or, you know what, I can doom scroll for a couple of hours. It's just not going to really make that much of a difference in the grand scheme of things over spending those couple of hours I have before I go to bed studying that high income skill or whatever it may be that I wanted to do. You don't think that those things matter until they do, until it catches up to you. And I think if there's one thing that people who are my age and older than me especially can all unanimously agree on is that, man, when you get out of high school, when you're just done with school in general and you just become an adult, anything past 25, time just evaporates. The older you get, the faster the days clump together. I remember being in high school, my first day in high school ever. One of the science teachers sitting there saying, everybody was being rowdy in the class and talking. And he was one of those teachers that would just wait for everyone to stop. And he would just cross his hands and shake his head until people stopped. And we all eventually got quiet because we noticed he was getting angrier by the second. He just said, y'all aren't taking this life stuff seriously. All of y'all are joking around right now. And y'all think that it's going to be a-okay. And y'all think that time won't fly by, that you've got plenty of time. But I'm warning y'all now. Time is going to fly. Before you know it, you're going to blink and you're going to be in your 30s or 40s or 50s. And if you don't take things seriously, it's really going to turn around and bite you. And I remember hearing that, me and my friend hearing that and us just giggling in the back of the class thinking he's crazy. What does he mean? Like, this is going to feel like forever. We are never going to get out of high school, man. Like, this one day, this one class feels like an eternity. Like, we're never going to graduate. What is he talking about? And before I know it, and I know y'all hear this 1,000 times, before we knew it, it seems like a blink. We were graduating. And then you blink again, in a decade and some change have gone by since you graduated. And you have nothing to show for it if you didn't make the correct decisions. And another thing I'll say is, for my anime watchers out there, for my TV show watchers, for my movie watchers and things like that, right? It's easy to look at something from a third person perspective and think that those situations are going to happen to you and you're going to be saved, but you don't realize that you are the protagonist in that situation, right? You watch Naruto and you see that when Sakura called Naruto, he showed up to the village just in time to fight Pain. You know, you see, you're watching Demon Slayer and Tanjiro shows up. You know, you're watching JJK and Gojo shows up. You know, you're watching all of these shows and you're watching the protagonist or the leader of the show go through all this turmoil and pain. And from a third person's perspective, it's easy for you to sit there and just watch that and say, yes, even though they're going through so much bad stuff, they don't understand that this is making them into the person that they need to be in order to achieve what they want to achieve by the end of the show. For them to save the girl, for them to beat the bad guy, for them to win. Like, they're going through the stuff that they need to go through. And every time something bad happens, every time they sink into despair, something always happens to save them. And I think one of the things about reality is that that does not happen. Like, in real life, you are the savior. You are the person that's going to determine how your story turns out. You know, you hear that quote or you hear that saying a lot, that no one's coming to save you. And once again, especially being young, that goes in one ear and out the other. You hear it, but you don't listen to it until time goes by and you realize what that means. You realize, wow, I'm the one in this story experiencing all these things. I'm the one in this story who is suffering at this moment. I'm the one who has to endure this pain. No one's coming to get me. There's not going to be someone who's going to knock on my door saying, hey, listen, I'm the wife you've been looking for. Or, you know, hey, look, here's the solution to your problem that you've been stressed out about. Or, I understand that you've been stressed about this. Here you go. Like, that's not going to happen until you take control of your life, until you make those decisions, to make the hard decisions, to live easy. Nothing will change. And like when I talked about the book earlier, you know, choosing hard, for example, is choosing to study that high income skill instead of picking up your phone and doom scrolling. Instead of watching that movie you really wanted to watch, to lock in and watch that course. And the thing is that every single time that I would go after something, anytime some kind of obstacles came up in my way, and I understand this is common and it shouldn't be, it's not a good thing, but anytime obstacles come up in my way, I'd always believe that this cannot be meant for me. Like, this cannot be my destiny, because if it was my destiny, once again, leaning into that anime movie trope, there wouldn't be that much struggle. Even though I'm seeing the struggle happen in these shows, I'm thinking to myself, if I have to struggle for it, then it's not worth it, or it can't be for me. You see, once again, in the shows that some people are natural prodigies at things, right? Some people are just natural talents, or it seems as if they have way more talent than most people, right? No matter what you do in some fields of your life, there are some things that somehow you cannot grasp, or it feels that way. And then there's someone else who's able to pick up that exact thing and just be seemingly a master at it within a couple of days, weeks, or months. And it discourages you. You think to yourself, oh man, you know, this is not meant for me. This can't be meant for me. And I can give you all a few examples that, of course, now looking back at it, I realize it was my fault. Whenever I would buy a course, I'd buy it from some random kid who might have been flexing his, you know, or some dude, and even an adult flexing his Miami or apartment, right? The default Miami penthouse skin. The default Lamborghini that they're probably at the dealership and told everybody to be quiet so they could record the video at. And I'd buy the course and realize it was garbage and think to myself, oh, well, this is the course's fault. You know, this isn't my fault. This is the course's fault. I'd buy a course that had plenty of information in it for me to succeed. But because it wasn't being taught to me in a certain way, I'd say, no, I'm not going to study this. Like, I'm not going to study this course because the teacher's not talking at a fast enough pace, or he's moving too fast for me to understand. Or, oh no, the teacher is making mistakes so much that it's making me mess up and I'm taking 2 or 3 times as long to get through these videos. It seems as if I have to go through these videos multiple times to get the point. This can't be for me. Because if it was, I'd be understanding it, and I'm not understanding it. You're trying to wait for a situation that's never going to happen. And you notice this in life, is that at any time, even if you did get that perfect situation that you're envisioning, that you're imagining, you'll always look for something else. I'm a gamer, so, I've got another channel that I upload gaming videos onto. And even now, I promised myself that I will be uploading content consistently on that channel. And I think to myself, oh no, I don't have the PC specs for it. I want to play a certain FPS game, and everyone else is over 100 FPS and they're playing at the highest settings. But here I am playing at the lowest settings with the lowest graphical disadvantage, I guess you could say, with the lowest frames. And I'm still like, it's not fun. Like, I'm moving around at 30 FPS trying to fight people who have 200. I know those might sound technical, but I'm thinking I'm not going to play these games because I'm not at the highest advantage yet. One of the quotes I heard earlier that upset me until I had to sit there and really think about it is, there are people, and we all know this already, but we like to block it from our mind, is that there are people out there who have the same situation as you do. As a matter of fact, there are people out there who have a worse situation than you do, worse set of circumstances, less time, and they're making it happen. People out there who, regardless of their circumstance, have little to no communication in the same way that you do. They don't have an iPhone. They don't have a PC. They don't have all the tools and gifts that you have, and yet they're somehow pressing forward every day. And yet you have everything that you need to become successful, and you're not making the correct decisions. I heard from, I forgot who it was. I think it was Andrew Tate. I heard him say, you should be angry and upset that you're not where you want to be, that you're not achieving the lifestyle that you want to live. And don't get it confused with jealousy and anger and envy towards someone else. You should never have that or harbor hatred towards someone else, but you should direct it at the situation in general. The fact that there are people who are living the lives that you want to live, and that you're not living that life yet, and that you're settling. You should be upset at yourself for settling for the life that you did not want to settle for. And giving examples, things like, if it comes to monetary, if your goals are wealth, right? Thinking about, there's someone out there right now in their young 20s who are making 6 figures a month, for example, with their business they started a couple years ago when they were 16. And here you are working for $40,000 or $50,000 a year. Getting into that, I think another big misconception that we hear as well is that comparison is the thief of joy. I believe that's pure copium. I think people use that saying or that quote as a means to cope with the fact that they have not gone after the things that they wanted to in life, or to not get upset when they think about it and dwell on it too long. Comparison is exactly how we achieve everything in life. It is literally the foundation that humanity has been built on and continues to thrive. Everything. This mic that I'm using, this gameplay, YouTube as a service, every single thing, your clothes, your job, the way that you think, your mentality, the good, the bad, everything is something that was learned from the previous generations before us. By comparing, by testing, by analyzing. That's just how business, that's how life itself works. So to just chalk it up to comparison is the thief of joy, in my opinion, is just pure copium. It's a way that people try to, like I said, cope with the world. And the levels of success, I'm going to look this up right now for y'all in real time. The levels of success, I heard Alex Hormozy say it, is something that a lot of people, of course, go through, but few make it to the end. And I'll have a graph pulled up right now I'm reading from, and this is phase 1 is uninformed optimism. This is when you know about something and you're optimistic about that certain thing, right? Because you don't know how much is going to go into actually achieving that thing. You have no idea the amount of information and knowledge, the amount of time, energy, and effort that's going to actually go into achieving that thing. And matter of fact, one of the things that Alex Hormozy talked about as well is even if you had a quantifiable number that you could put down, most people would quit. We all think that if you were given a certain number or a certain amount of time, that people would go towards their goals. But when you realize the amount of sheer volume that you'd have to put in and the amount of years that it might take, the levels of uncertainty that you're going to have for quite some time, if you could quantify that number, most people would just give up. And that first phase is uninformed optimism. You don't know what you don't know about that thing, but you just learned about it. This is YouTube. This is content creation in general, wanting to be an influencer. This is, insert random job here. This is insert random skill here. Shopify drop shipping, affiliate marketing, TikTok shop is the trend, you name it, right? These are all things that you're optimistic about because you're uninformed. You really don't know what's going on in the back end. But of course, the ads and everything that you watch put it in such a way that it seems easy. And it's novel, it's brand new. Like I said with the workouts earlier, you're starting a new workout program. It's the first of January, New Year. You're excited because something's brand new. And then you go into phase 2, which is something called informed pessimism. This is when you realize, wow, there is so much more to this that I did not know about. Like, there is so much more. Now, since I'm informed on this subject, I realize why a lot of people quit. I realize why the 1% are in the 1%. I've gotten all the information that I need, and now I'm starting to see why it seems as if everybody wants to do this, but no one is successful in it. And then we go to phase 3, the bottom of the pit. This right here is where everybody, myself included in my 20s, starts all over. Shiny object syndrome. Phase 3 is called the Valley of Despair. This is when everything, and I mean everything, that you could possibly think of goes wrong. You have no idea what it is that you're doing. You believe that you're way in over your head. You start failing. You're 4 or 5 businesses in. Nothing seems to be working. You don't know when you're going to get your big break. You don't know if the big break is ever going to happen. You're losing money, losing sales. You're bouncing between jobs. Everyone in your family, friends are distancing themselves from you. They're telling you to give up, telling you what if it doesn't work out. You are wasting your time doing things that don't serve the long-term purpose that you have. You start looking and thinking about quitting. And then, like I said, 99% of people quit in these moments. 99% of people end up quitting in these moments, and they revert back to stage 1, which is uninformed pessimism. And this is shiny object syndrome in a nutshell. This is what the majority of people do. Oh, this is taking longer than I anticipated. You start second guessing yourself. Your brain is trying its best to protect you. Oh, this really can't be it. This isn't worth it. There's no way. Surely I would have succeeded by now. Why is it that I have questions that I don't even know what they are? And even if the answer was staring at me right in my face, I wouldn't know that it was there. No one seems to be understanding what it is I'm going through. I poured my everything into this and it's just not working. I'm not seeing any breakthrough in sight. I'm not even seeing a hint of success anywhere. And this is when, like I said, most people just call it. But if you're the 1%, and you choose hard so you can live easy, and you keep choosing to do those hard things every single day, even if you're not seeing any results, even if you're not achieving the things you want to achieve, even if it looks like there's no end in sight, you move on to stage 4. One more analogy before we get to phase 4 is I heard someone say on a YouTube video that, what would you do if you're in the middle of the jungle and you have no food, you have no water, you have nothing on your back, just your clothes? Obviously, the only thing that you could do is take one step and start walking in a direction. In the valley of despair, and that example is you're walking for miles. You're dehydrated. You're starving. You're getting bit by mosquitoes, almost torn up by animals. And then all of a sudden you realize that you're right back at the same tree that you started at. In that moment, what is the only thing you can do? The only thing you can do in that moment is go into a different direction. Y'all have heard this quote and this saying before, and it's true. The step or the journey of 1,000 miles start with a single step. Seems so infinitesimally small, right? That moment, it just seems like you're not doing anything. Like working out for the first time. You know, you might work out for a day, a week, a month and see no results and ask yourself, why bother? But within 1 year, you couldn't even imagine quitting. You look in the mirror and it's like a whole different person. So stage 4, if you're the 1% who ends up getting past the valley of despair, you go into informed optimism. Out of nowhere, weeks, months, years go by, things start working. You start seeing results. You start seeing things pay off. You're seeing things move in a positive direction. And now, instead of being in phase 2, being an informed pessimist, now you're an informed optimist. Now you know the things that you didn't know, and you have skill. But here's the dangerous part, and this is not on the chart, but I wanted to add it myself. Self-sabotage. And feeding your mind the right things is so important, y'all. It's so important. This is, if there's one thing I want y'all to get from this video, if you don't get anything else, is to take this lesson and please take it to heart. Is that if you're not feeding your mind the proper things, if your foundation is not correct, everything that you have and everything that you build will crumble. Even when you're at phase 4 in the informed optimism stage and things are going good, if your brain isn't seeing the results as fast or as quickly as you thought, you will self-sabotage. You will actually sink back down into the valley of despair and then right back up into informed pessimism and eventually uninformed optimism. How insane is that? How damaging and dangerous can the human mind be sometimes when you are literally in the middle of your blessing? You're in the middle of the results. You're seeing in real time success and you're still quitting. If you're a YouTuber, you're finally starting to get views. After all those years, you're finally starting to get subscribers and you take your foot off the gas. You think, oh no, this is not going as fast as I'd like. Oh no, this isn't worth it. Oh man, I'm making progress, but not at the point that I thought I'd be making it. I've already been doing this for 5 years, and yes, I'm gaining subscribers. Yes, I've gained 100 or 1,000 over a month, but I want to be at tens of thousands. I thought I'd be at hundreds of thousands by now. I thought I'd be able to pay my bills, and you stop. Listening to it sounds insane. Like, y'all hearing this, you think to yourself, there's no way I'd ever do that. That's crazy. Like, why would I self-sabotage myself like that? But I'm telling y'all, please, if the one message you get from this video, do not allow your brain to self-sabotage you into thinking that the progress that you're making is irrelevant, because it's progress. It's the thing that you were fighting for so long. A quote that I've heard on TikTok multiple times is, sometimes you forget that you're right in the middle of what you prayed for years ago. Your brain is always going to look for that next stepping stone. And if you really look back in your life and you think about where you've been and where you're going, sometimes you're exactly where you wish you would have been years ago. So getting back to phase 4, informed optimism, you don't allow yourself to self-sabotage, and eventually you get up to phase 5. You break out, and this is when you achieve success and fulfillment. And notice how fulfillment is towards the end. You know, I saw an interesting video for me. A lot of y'all probably know who this is, Mr. Beast, right? I mean, a lot of people know Mr. Beast, especially if you're online. And someone asked him in an interview, they said, "Are you happy?" And he said, you know, he had to sit there for a second and actually think about it, right? Most people would immediately think yes, because at a surface level, for those who haven't put in that amount of work, for those who haven't done that amount of grinding, when you see someone like that, you think, of course he's happy. Of course, you know, he's making YouTube videos for a living. He's a billionaire at this point, right? Every video he uploads goes viral. I think he's the #1 subscribed channel in the world or something like that. And you think to yourself, he has to be happy. But no. One pattern that I've noticed about a lot of successful people is, he said that if you could live the life, most people, if they saw what I did on a day-to-day basis, they wouldn't want to live the life that I'm living. They wouldn't choose that. Because for these past decades that I've been putting in this work, I was not factoring in happiness into what I was doing. Happiness sometimes comes and goes in those fleeting moments, but I'm so busy with my work, and I'm just so used to working so hard and studying things in and out, that I don't really sit there to think about whether or not I'm happy, because I'm focused on the purpose. And I think that's the key, y'all. That's the key. Is realizing that in those moments that you're sad, number one, that is the normal feeling that every single successful person, every person that you look up to, that you admire, that is the normal feeling. That's the default feeling. As a matter of fact, I've heard Joe Rogan, David Goggins, and a whole bunch of other motivational people talk about it. They say, I want to see what you're doing when you're tired, when you have nothing left in the tank, when you're exhausted. That's when the real work begins, not when you're feeling good. If you're only putting in work, if you're only going after your goals when you're feeling good, you'll never achieve anything. And I am a professional at this, only doing certain things, only working on my goals, only making videos, only studying the skills I need to study when I'm feeling good. And it leads you to nowhere. And going back to the examples, I don't know who said it, I think it was Alex again, but he said, imagine you hopped on the trail. You know, this is a tale as old as time, right? You're the knight in shining armor that's meant to save the woman up in the castle. You already knew that the castle was going to be surrounded with alligators and moats and barbed wires and people who have arrows and lava and all that good stuff, right? But did you ever think about the fact that on your way to the castle that you were going to encounter a troll? And even if you do encounter a troll and you do end up beating the troll, what are you going to do when all of a sudden a huge dragon hops on the road? Out of nowhere, unexpected, a problem way bigger than you could have ever imagined. This is the deciding factor. This is what makes the knight a knight versus the person who claimed they wanted to be a knight, but they step off the path and say, no, looks like she's just going to have to stay up in that castle. It's not worth it. So all in all, y'all, I know this video was all over the place, but if there's one lesson, like I said, I want y'all to take from this video is do not allow, number one, do not allow yourself to get comfortable and think that you have time, because you'll blink and before you know it, time would have passed. And as long as it takes you to mess up your life, it's going to take you just as long, if not longer, in most cases, to fix your life and put it back on track. And eventually, before you know it, you'll blink, look back and see the consequences of choosing easy and realize that you now have to deal with a whole bunch of hard for quite some time before you're able to get back to the easy that you wanted. The easy in the short term is never good. It's never worth it. It's not what you want. Choosing hard in the short term is always going to lead you to that easy that you want, that fulfillment, that relationship, that monetary financial success, that emotional stability, the physical health, you name it. Choosing hard in the moment is exactly what you should be doing. And when you see everybody else quitting, or when you think about quitting yourself, when you are in that valley of despair, understand that that's exactly where you're supposed to be. And instead of running from it, be happy that you're in it. Understand that these difficult things is what's going to make you into the person capable of achieving the goals and the success that you want. And that's what I'm doing now. Even though I've wasted time and the cycle that I would repeat, and I won't yap too long because I know this video is going longer than it should have been, but the cycle that I repeat, right? Start something brand new, go through all those phases of uninformed optimism, informed pessimism, valley of despair, things like that. I would stay at a job. I'd quit that job saying I've saved up, 5-6 months of expenses. This is it. I'm going in. I'm never going to have to work a job again. But my mentality was always off. That self-sabotage was always there, looming in the back of my mind, in the back of my subconscious, that I would always try to press down and ignore. I say to myself, oh man, you got to enjoy these couple of months off, because before you know it, you'll be right back to work. Or, oh man, I wonder what job you're going to get next. Even though I would tell myself, no, this is the last time. I deep down self-sabotage, I knew. And once again, that goes back to feeding your mind the correct things, not feeding your mind random YouTube shorts and TikTok slop, right? That goes back to feeding your mind the correct things and not allowing yourself to self-sabotage. Seeing the results, feeling that valley of despair, and knowing that that's exactly where you need to be and that you need to endure and push through those things. But instead, I wouldn't. And I'd fall right back into it. And before you know it, I had to get a job again, hating it and repeating the cycle. And that's where I'm at now. I haven't been working for about another 8-9 months, saved up enough money to pay all my bills, told myself that the skill that I was learning, that that was it. I'm not going to ever work a job ever again. But once again, looming in the back of my mind was that negative thought, that seed of self-doubt that I kept watering with my actions. Every action that you take is, I think Higher Up Wellness said this on TikTok. Every act, every move that you make, every act that you take is a step towards the person that you're going to become. Your thoughts just help you get there. And confidence, one more quote, y'all. One more quote, and I swear I'm done. Confidence does not come from shouting affirmations in the mirror all day long. It comes from a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. Outwork your self-doubt. The reason that you have self-doubt is because of the little small micro choices that you make in the moment. Carpe momentum, never carpe diem. The choices that you make in the moment are casting a vote against the person or for the person that you're going to become. And the reason you don't have self-confidence, and the reason that you always keep reverting back to the person that you always used to be, despite claiming that you don't want to be that person anymore, is because the little moments when you could choose hard, you don't. You choose easy. So when you finally start doing hard things, your brain thinks this isn't going to stick. Yeah, you might choose hard right now, but you're going to go right back to easy a month later. Why bother? Yeah, you might do this for a week and be motivated, but you'll be right back doing stupid stuff in 2 weeks. So choosing hard every day, every moment, and building that confidence through that undeniable proof is key. And that's what I'm doing right now. Once again, I'm right here with y'all. For those who can relate to this video, I'm right here with y'all. Took these several months off, told myself I was going to study this skill, allowed these excuses to get in my way. And before you know it, I look at my bank account and I'm like, I cannot believe this. Here I am having to apply for other random jobs. Throughout my 20s, I built no real skills. My resume just looks like a whole bunch of high school dropout things, delivery drivers and stocking and a whole bunch of stuff. And I have to now go out and look because I chose easy. And now things are hard. So I implore everybody who watches this video to start choosing hard. And choose hard now. So that way in several years, you can live easy. And that's it for this video. I appreciate those who watched it. Thank y'all so much for listening to me to yap and ramble. And I don't know if this video is going to get any attention or not. Lord, I hope not. I mean, I do want people to see this. This is a good message. I just hope it doesn't go, viral or nothing. But yeah, I guess I'll just make videos like this whenever have something on my mind that I want to relay to people, mistakes that I've made or lessons I've learned that I want people to learn before they make the same mistakes I did. But I appreciate those who have watched, and I guess I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.